Are we ready? Okay, well, good afternoon. My name is Pauley, and today I'm here to talk to you about volunteers. This is a picture of Belfast, which is where I'm from, hence the strange accent. So I was born in Northern Ireland, but at the minute I live in Tokyo, and this is the view from my apartment. So the slides are actually, there's quite a bit of Japanese on the slides, but that's because I did a talk recently in Japan. And I had to subtitle them more because I understand that you have difficulty here with my accent, the Japanese have more difficulty. So as for accents, this is a collection of the number 8. So I assume everybody says it just like me. This is the number 8. This is a cow. Now I do realize that, I know my vowels, I do realize that I'm not going to use the word cow a lot during my talk, but it does rhyme with now. So it does take a while to get used to the strange vowel sounds that I use. So I hope everyone can understand me. I am currently the president of the Perl Foundation. So one of the things I do every week is work with volunteers. At the minute we have about 50 of them, and I thought it would be a good idea for me to understand more about why people would or would not want to volunteer for any sort of FOSS or open source projects. So, volunteering. Very obvious, volunteering is something you do without financial gain. So we do it without being paid, and we do it without being forced to do it. So when people are in the workplace, one of their biggest motivations is actually getting paid. So what is it that's different about FOSS? I was at a talk recently in Japan where they hoped to discover the secret of why people do things like Perl and Linux for free, but unfortunately, even though the speaker had a great title like The Secret of Linux, he didn't know. But thankfully for me, there's been quite a bit of research done on why people are involved in FOSS communities, and one of the things you should think about is the reward that you get for being involved. Because if you want more people involved in the project that you're interested in, it's a good idea to know what your own motivations are. So, what motivates you? I'm going to start with a very basic summary of motivation, and this is Maslow's motivational theory about what motivates humans. So let's start there. Just the general stuff. What motivates a human? Okay, your physiological needs. Why did I eat that sushi? I ate it because I was hungry. The most basic of all our motivations are to do with things like eating and drinking. We're obviously not involved in FOSS because we want to eat and drink. Security is the second of Maslow's needs for human beings. So why do I lock my door at night? I do it so that I can feel safe. Everybody wants to have enough food, they want to have enough to drink, and we all want to feel safe. Then we have our social needs. Animals, once you get to the human type, all want to have friends and family. So one of the reasons we might be here is to fulfill our needs to be social. We could be here to fulfill the needs that we have for esteem. So we want to be treated with respect by other people. And then we have self-actualization. Maslow talked about self-actualization, which is a very long-sounding word, but this is the need we have to be ourselves. This is the thing that makes poets want to write poetry, it's the thing that makes an artist want to paint, and probably the thing that makes programmers want to code. So humans, to be happy and to function well, have this variety of motivations, and this was at the top of his hierarchy. But if I look at something like, why did I submit a talk to this conference? None of that really provides the motivation, because human motivations are complex, and the reasons the volunteers spend time in your projects are actually quite complicated. There isn't a simple answer like, I ate the food because I was hungry. So submitting a talk to a conference can fulfill many of my needs, and there can be many motivations behind it. So, I have been in many conversations with people about volunteers and why they do the work, and I decided that instead of trying to reinvent the thoughts every single time, that I would sit down and try to come up with the reasons why I think you do it, that I would look at the research papers. There's quite a lot of research done in FOSS and open source to try to work out why we do give of our time for free. And this paper looked at Wikipedians who were spending an awful amount of time creating a free dictionary. So, Encyclopedia. Did I say dictionary? Yes, I did, because my English is not great. Okay, they created an encyclopedia. And one of the main reasons is ideology. So when people want to get involved in your open source or your FOSS project, they are going to look at your ideology. Do you know what the ideology behind your project is? The most famous, okay, why did I submit a talk to a conference? Because people could share knowledge. One of my personal ideology beliefs is that we should share knowledge for free. And that's why I'm here today without being paid to speak. That's why a lot of our speakers are here. And if we're looking for someone famous in FOSS for ideology, I believe that Richard Stallman is very famous for his beliefs. So his belief system is obvious, but I'm not so sure. But the belief system of everybody in this room is as clear. I mean, everybody here, I assume, uses Perl? Yeah? Yeah, which is fine. And some people talk about the reasons as to why they write things. So we share an ideology, but we don't really discuss it in detail. And they discovered that when they were researching Wikipedians, that whilst people can share an ideology and it can bring them to the same room, it doesn't necessarily make them do any work. And it is one of the problems I run into. I can talk to people and get them excited about the project and about the Perl Foundation, and they will join and they will volunteer, but I find it much harder to move that to the next level where they actually contribute. So there has to be more than your ideology. And the main reason that people contribute to Wikipedia turned out to be fun. So we do this if it's fun. And if, I submit talks to conferences because I really enjoy it. This is such a lie. But of course, I was trying to think of a fun reason to submit a talk. I don't actually enjoy speaking in front of groups of people. I really like talking. I'm from Northern Ireland and I can talk all day. But I prefer to talk one-to-one. And the thought of coming into this room and standing in front of you is horrifying. So I'm not doing this for fun, but for a lot of people, what they're doing in FOSS and open source is because it's fun for them. I am doing this because of ideology. So is it fun? Linus Torvalds wrote a book just for fun. His main motivation, apparently, behind Linux was fun. And it's a massive project for fun. So, the other main motivations, this is a paper that looked at learning. One of the other main reasons that anyone will join your project is the ability to learn new things. We love new things, and we love to learn. This is Sean. Sean's at the conference, and he came up to me this morning, and he said, "Is there going to be a picture of me in your talk?" He was joking. Now there's a picture of him in my talk. But Sean has worked as a mentor for the Perl Foundation. He mentors on the outreach program for women for us. And this year we have other mentors from Meta-CPAN. And inside our community, we do not have enough people willing to teach. If you are here to learn, who do you learn from? Conference is fantastic. People can come to a conference to learn. We're standing here, we're presenting talks, you can meet people in the corridor. But if you're sitting at home by yourself and you go onto one of our websites, how easy is it for you to learn? And I don't think it's so easy. And we don't have enough mentors. The outreach program for women is a really good program. But the biggest problem I face is not necessarily funding it, it's finding a mentor who can deal with an intern who's going to be working 40 hours a week on their project. Most of our projects are run by volunteers. And if you say to them, hey, we could maybe get you an intern who's going to work for 40 hours, all they can see is the huge volume of work it's going to cause them. Because teaching takes a lot of time. And we don't have resource materials for our mentors. So we haven't done anything to make it easy. But learning is very important. And if you have a project that highlights how people can learn. So when I approached Meta-CPAN, they put together a document, what you can learn from us, how we can help you if you join our project. And we need a lot more of that. So work, beastie. So you submit talks to conferences to learn new things. If you submit a talk, you don't have to pay, though these conferences are very reasonable. But we all come to learn. So, respect. Respect of your peers is considered to be a major reason why people take part in FOSS. Now, I have looked at the research papers, and it doesn't appear very highly. You get fun, you get ideology, you get learning, and respect is quite low. And I think one of the reasons is that when you're doing this type of research, the people who've done it have to ask others to fill in a questionnaire. So if I ask you to fill in a questionnaire, why did you come? Because I had fun, because I want you to respect me. Which of those things are you going to fill in? In a self-reporting survey, I think respect is always going to come a bit low down. But if you talk to people outside the community who are looking in, they think a lot of people here are doing it because of the meritocracy and for the respect of their peers. So this, Puppet Labs. And I heard them speak at a conference I was at recently, and I really liked what they did on their community page because they have featured members, showing that they have respect for certain members of their community. They highlighted them. They had clearly where you go to learn, how do you participate and get help. I liked it because it was very clear. And I think that this was it's a very interesting idea. So respect of your peers is very important. But there are other types of respect that is important. So, when we talk about meritocracies and respect, we talk about, people like Larry who've done great things and we should treat them well. Well, you have, and we should treat you well, but we should treat everybody well. And respect, when I get up and speak about respect, people say to me, oh, you just want us to be nice. You want everyone to be nice to each other. But I'm not talking about being nice. I'm talking about treating other people in a way you would like to be treated. I'm talking about respect for something like being sorry or making an apology. So say you do something wrong. To show respect in another person, you should always apologize. But for some reason, sometimes we don't. You should thank people when they do things for you. I get many people, we forget to thank them. I forget to thank people as well. I have all these volunteers, they do jobs for me. When the job's complete, you think, let's move on. Let's get the next thing done. But we need to remember to thank people. We need to have respect for people's time. So I work with volunteers, right? And I get a lot of very, very impatient people. They will say, I sent an email a day ago and this person has not responded. This is not the commercial world. You're not paying them to respond. If someone is a volunteer in your project, what is the reasonable time frame for them to respond to you? And it seems that people have a different idea as to what that should be. And I don't really expect a volunteer. Sometimes there are always things that are unexpected and you write that something's urgent or really important. But in the grand scheme of things, it could easily take 5 to 7 days for a person to have time to answer an email. The other issue about having respect for people's time is that sometimes you have something with a very tight deadline, right? But you forget to tell the volunteers. When you write to them and say, oh, I really need this thing because the GSOC application needs to be in tomorrow morning, right? Well, that's a lack of respect on my part if I do that, because I don't respect that my volunteers need time to do things. And this is a picture of Marty looking, angry, because I don't think that we should respond to people in anger. And I think sometimes I get some horrible emails. I'm involved in lots of things in the Perl community, and the Perl community aren't always totally pleasant to each other. But I never respond in anger, and I don't think we should respond to people in anger. Anger is an interesting tool, and it can be used. If somebody's doing something appalling, anger can stop it. But I don't think it should be the default. And I also don't think, because I live in Japan and I work with people from lots of different cultures, I have become more and more aware that things that sometimes make me angry are because I misunderstood. The phrasing was short, I didn't like the words they used. They're from somewhere else where they treat people, they use language differently, English may not be their first language, and that we need to just step back if something makes us angry, and then deal with it. The other reason people get involved in open source is to belong. Belonging is a tricky subject. The first time I ever wanted to speak about belonging at a conference, I was told I couldn't because it was too controversial, because most of the research on belonging is to do with minorities and women. And I was told, you cannot get up at a conference and say that women do not come because they don't feel like they belong. And I said, well, I'm not going to get up and say that I think that. I'm going to get up and say that Carnegie Mellon University did research into their computer science programs, and they noticed that women dropped out at a rate of 2 to 1 over the men. And they did research into why they did that. And one of the reasons was they felt like they did not belong. And that's a very, very difficult area. It's very difficult for us to do anything to improve it. I have been told at a YAPC that I did not belong. Based on what you can see in front of you, they did not speak to me. They just looked at me and decided that I did not belong. So, one thing I would ask, belonging is difficult, but we are a community of the mind. Everything is about what's inside, it's about our ideology, it's about how we think. It is not about how we look. So we should never assume that if we see a person who looks different than us, that they do not belong. So belonging, we want to belong, and it can be very difficult. I can come to a conference and people say to me directly, you do not belong, or all the small things make you feel like you don't belong. I had been to a technical conference where I was doing a tutorial, and there were no bathrooms for me to go to because I was female. Because there were so many more men at the conference that they converted all of them on the floor I was on to males. So of course in the middle of I had to go upstairs to try and find. So I had to go out of my way, and it made me feel odd. And I live in Japan, right? I spent a lot of my life feeling other there as well. So we have to do our best to make people feel like they're part of our community. So I submit a talk to the conference to spend time with my peers because actually I know that I do belong and I want to be here. So I would ask you, what motivates you and what motivates the people who are taking part in your projects? One of the reasons I look at research is that you can't know every person and you cannot know every culture. So I'm often working with people I do not know at all. So once I had to work, I now know him, this is Duke Leto. This is what I had. He's called Duke Leto. I assume he likes sci-fi because I recognize the book reference and the film reference. He's blue. He's the first blue person I worked with. And he was interested in students. And he wanted to work on GSOC. That's all I know about him. But what other things I do know is the very fact he wants to be involved in GSOC is that we share ideology. He wants to help in the Google Summer of Code program with students. He believes in learning. He puts up a picture of himself like this. He's probably interested in fun. And I assume that he wants me to treat him with respect because I would like a stranger to treat me with respect. Now, we had a great time working in GSOC, but as I say, since we cannot know everyone, we should just look at the general motivations. So, for your project, what is your project's ideology? Is it clearly stated? Do you even know what it is yourself? I have to admit, at times I have difficulty, giving 2 sentences in what the Perl Foundation does, and I run it. Is it easy for people to learn on your project? Is it obvious how they learn? Do we treat people with respect? And when new people come, do they feel like they belong in your project? And one other thing I will say about belonging. At a conference like this, everybody in the community should be able to come and feel like they belong. I have come across small communities where not everyone will actually belong just because of the type of community it is. And I'm not saying that everything needs to be open to all people because sometimes you need specific skills, etc. But certainly our conferences and our main forums should be as open as they possibly can. And is it fun? Do you have fun? Thank you very much. I assume that's the 20 minutes. I have bibliography at the end of my slides. I'm assuming we're putting our slides up somewhere. So if you want, you obviously can't read that. You're not supposed to be able to read that. No, I can see you peering down there. These are the papers and stuff that I read. The slides will go up online somewhere if anyone's interested. You can. Yeah.
You're supposed to attach it to the talk, actually.
Okay, and I've got the image credits as well at the end, which is not interesting, but useful. But important to me. The Creative Commons thing's important to me. Does anyone have any questions? Because I think...
I'd like to open a discussion here.
Go for it.
You're saying that you can't know every person, you can't know every culture, but you can know yourself. And I don't program Perl, but I've worked in the software industry for 20 years. I'm a user experience person. And I have never, ever, ever felt like I don't belong. In fact, you know, I walk in here and I start asking questions or whatever, and I have nerds literally falling all over me. And they want to help me, and they're like trailing me around wanting to help me and show me the latest cool thing and the latest, you know. And so I don't understand, you know, you see a row full of bathrooms that aren't women's bathrooms, they're all men's bathrooms. Go for it. Walk in there. Show everybody that you know who you are. I mean, this is the thing. You don't have to sit down and feel like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm not welcome. I'm always welcome. I'm welcome wherever I go. And that's the attitude that you walk in here with. And that's the attitude that I walked in here with today. And again, I walk into the robotics room and I have nerds falling all over me wanting to show me how to do robotics. They want to show me how to do Java. They want to show me how to do Perl. They want to show me, I mean, this has been my whole life. I've never had the point in which I ever felt like I don't belong.
You're very lucky.
No, it's not being lucky. It's not being lucky. It's a matter of, I come in here and I expect that I'm going to get the best out of everybody that I meet. Mm-hmm. I expect that everybody will always, it's not called respect, it's called appreciation. If you appreciate the person and you set an expectation, hi, I need this email answered within a week, please do that, you get it. You know, but if you just go, oh, hi, I'm here, you know, maybe if you got some time, they're going to blow it off because they're not going to see that, you know, respect is kind of a negative word, but appreciation is a much higher word. You know, I feel welcome all the time is different than I wish I could belong. You know, I want versus I have. And that's what we're looking at here. You know,
I agree that this community is very welcoming, but I have had the comments directed at me directly, and I have seen it happen to other people.
But you throw them back at them. They don't know what they're talking about half the time.
Yeah,
their stuff is just throwing out of their mouth. They're literally just foaming their ideas out of their mouth.
Hugely stressful.
But
if you're coming into a conference and you don't have a personality like yours, if you're coming in and you're an introvert and you're shy and you go to register and the first thing you're told is, oh, you must be in the wrong place. You know,
but see, the thing is, you must be in the wrong place. Is that meaning that they're trying to clarify, or is that you taking it as...
They're assuming because you're not the same color or you're not the same gender that you're mistaken, you're making a mistake.
I have been told many times that you couldn't be... I have been told, sorry, your husband's the speaker. He's the one that should get a speaker's dinner ticket. Seriously. Now, I'm not saying... But it's always like that. It's getting better.
And you can
but that's what I'm trying to understand is that what you're talking about has never happened to me at all. I literally waltz into places.
Glad. I am so glad.
But it is. It's an attitude. Wait.
It's not just
Wait.
Yes.
Wait. 1 moment. Okay, 1 moment. Try it for a day. Try it and say, I am welcome here. I always, no, I'm really though, you really have to, it's an internal thing because I can't know what's inside of you, but you can transmit to me what you would like, okay?
Yes. So I have tried all those things and a lot of the things that have happened don't bother me too much, but I have seen them. That I have experienced.
But you seeing what another person, it's like turning on the TV, right? And you hear that this person fell out of a helicopter, and now you're sitting there agonizing over them falling out of the helicopter. You can't do a thing about them. Turn the TV off.
But if I want to participate in a conference, and my first half day of experience is rejection, it doesn't matter. One of the thoughts through my head is going to be, okay, well, I've given them the benefit of the doubt. I went in with a positive attitude, and I'm being rejected in sometimes subtle and sometimes explicit ways. Why would I want to continue persevering? Why would I not instead go to a more welcoming community?
Like I said, I've never felt that the community ever has been unwelcoming. I have run into, now, like what you're saying, I often run into, I'm going to just say the words because I don't want to sit there, nerds who are uncertain about what they're entering into, okay? And some of them have speech handicaps, some of them, visually you look at them and you're wondering, you know, things like that. The patience that I see in this group is amazing, considering the amount of, the range of Asperger's that I see in people. okay? And the range of wonderful variety that's in everybody. And maybe presenting this as an appreciation for the variety versus please respect me, please, help me feel belonging, will flip the switches in people. Because people don't want to sit down and feel like that they are hurting somebody or that they should feel sorry for somebody. But they will appreciate variety. They will definitely come along and say, hey, yeah, that is cool. Look at what this person's able to do. He's gone through all this stuff, and here he is today, And really, that's a different way of looking at it than, really, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry I have to say this, though. When I was sitting here, and the look on your face as you're explaining this, I could see the pain. I could feel the pain. And some people, when they feel the pain coming from others, they back off because they don't want to deal with it, okay? And that's the thing, is that you're in pain, and I really appreciate.
Can I ask a quick question?
We need to stop because of the next talk.
Oh yeah, let's.
What country did the bathroom sex changes for the
America?
America.
Yeah.
Yeah,
America?
Yes.
Of course.
yeah. I would just waltz in. Hey,
am not waltzing
and
into a
I've
man's
waltzed into
bathroom.
Walmart doing the same thing. I've waltzed into Starbucks doing the same thing. Somebody else is using the women's bathroom. You just waltz right in,
Your personally lets you do that. Lots of people don't.
But yours can too. That's what I'm saying.
My personal.
Follow me around for a day. I could get you to do it. Really, because it's the way you look at things. Okay, let's go.
Yeah, we need to go. Because I need to get the mic for the next speaker. Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for talking.